All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and today we are going to take a look again, because it's been years since I talked about 1960s Jefferson Nichols, and the fact that finding just the right one will actually change your life. You could quit your job, you could pay off college loans, you could pay off everything with some of the coins that you can find out there. Now, the series in general is quite intriguing. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the story of the 1960s and why some of the coins that can be found are worth tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, the prospects is unbelievable. The overall decade for the longest time has been underhunted and underrated. As you can see, it's typed right there, for a number of reasons. It was quite this unspectacular decade to search through, and not only Nichols, but Lincoln cents, although that has changed here in the last like 10, 15 years. But all across the board, this was a defining moment in U.S. coinage and its production. Okay, we went from 90% silver. The end of the silver standard was official in 1964. And then we had these copper nickel clad coins come in its place to really weak fanfare. Nobody really loved those coins. They preferred to have the silver, and it's understandable. So we're going to take a look at a few coins that have some pretty high values. But we're only kind of like scratching the surface here, because there's a number of other dates that we will touch upon by the end of the video that you also probably should pay attention to, because there are no known examples of these out there. All right. As you would expect, why 1960s Jefferson Nichols? Again, the eventual decade in itself was produced with not a lot of quality in mind. A lot of the coins either lacked luster, all right, the overall planchet quality before the strikes even occurred were, dare I say it, hot garbage. But a few other things, the U.S. Mint rode the dies to death, so much so that a lot of the strikes came out very weak, very soft, and you're going to see that as you're searching through these. Now, if you're able to find some nickels that were produced after the dies were either replaced or reworked, reworked being that they were re-engraved, things like that, then that's where your big ticket coins are going to be. But finding them, the reason why that they're so expensive is they're kind of like winning the lottery, all right? But it's a lot more fun, because you get to go through money to look for these. And, of course, we are going to talk about where to find these. That's important. That's going to kind of come up again at the end of the video, along with identifying other dates that you should be mindful that are out there, that, there are too many high-quality pieces as well. All right, so, again, one of the biggest drivers of value in the Jefferson Nichols series has everything to do with the steps on Monticello, or Monticello, however you want to pronounce it. The steps are 6 in count, so there's 6 total steps. There's a clear defined line, and there's 6 of them that go from left to right from edge to edge. PCGS and NGC, who are the top graders out there in numismatics, identify full steps as being anything 5 full steps or more. Okay, so you have to have a clear defined line that goes all the way across uninterrupted without a hit of some sort. This particular coin does have a little bit of a hit, but it is on the 6th step on there. The coin actually that you see on screen, it was graded as a full steps coin. So this is kind of like what the bar has been set by the graders as being acceptable in their eyes as being a full steps coin. So you're going to come across, again, these 1960s nickels. Hopefully you're going to be finding some really nice mint state examples to kind of cut your teeth onto. And find that a lot of the steps on these nickels are either worn away or very weakly struck, all right? And that is more par for the course than anything else. That's what you would expect to find, but finding one with full steps like this example you see on screen is obviously going to be the hot ticket. So make sure you know what you're looking at. You're going to need a really good quality magnifier. If you don't have that, don't expect to dive into this with any sort of success, because you need to get in close to see the actual steps, to see if there's any nicks or scratches or things of that nature that's interrupting the overall steps as they go across from end to end. All right, okay, so the next thing to keep in mind is grading, because for every coin that you do find that you really want to hit a home run with, you need to send them off to the graders. Now, PCGS has always been the gold standard in the grading scene of numismatics. They are going to be the company that you should use in order to obtain the most amount of money. Now, we have two nickels that you see here before you. We have a 65 on the left and the 66 on the right. But you'll notice in the actual numerical grade, one has just mid-state 67. The 1966 has FS at the end. That denotes full steps. In the perfect world, you want to grade a coin that will have FS at the end. Collectors and registry set participants care more about the FS than you think. And that's why they pay the big amount of money to own that coin, because it's a true rarity. Now, not to say that a coin on the left like that 1965 you see there without the full steps, it's not nothing. That particular coin that you're seeing there actually sold for $2,300 about a year ago. All right, that is more of a case of the high grade numerically is taking precedence over anything else. So people do care about high grades, but they also equally and more importantly care about the full steps when it comes to Jefferson nickels. And you're going to find again for the 1960s, all across the board between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco minted coins, there's going to be some pretty tremendous rarities involved here. So either aim for the highest grade possible or aim something with full steps. Either way, you're going to be making a lot of money doing this. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into 5 of the biggest identifiable Jefferson nickels that are quite rare and very valuable. There are many more after this that haven't been found yet, so you're going to want to focus on just about every date of Jefferson nickel, not just the ones that you're seeing in video today. So 1961 is a really common date, and I would say a lot of them are rather common, but you're going to see that a few of them have lower mintages than first realized. A lot of the Philadelphia struck coins from 1960 to about 1963 are a little bit more scarce than all the Denver minted ones. Okay, so they've produced Philadelphia and Denver's going all the way up to 1967. All right, 1968 and 69, you had both Philadelphia, Denver's, and San Francisco's made during those two dates. 1961 has a mintage of only 73,640,100, which is one of the lowest on the list, but again, that's still quite a number considering some of the other dates that you can come across that have a much lower mintage than this one. So let's talk a little bit about values, because full steps is what really matters with this coin. Mid-state 66 full steps. PCGS has a guide value of $14,700. And in a mid-state 67 plus full steps, in which one is known at that grade, PCGS has a price guide value of $35,000. Let's take a little bit of a moment of take a moment to recognize who exactly pays this kind of money for these coins and where do you sell them, because that's going to be a pretty important question a lot of people are going to have. Registry set people who collect the highest grades of the respective dates of a series are the ones that have the deep pockets. They pay the most amount of money for these coins. If one coin that grades out at a top pop or top population, the finest grade, there is going to be some pretty furious I guess, bidding activity. There's going to be a bidding war that's going to just, create lots of smoke that's going to turn into fire. And, auction companies are going to be your best bet. You want to use the best auction companies for coins like this. So your great collections of the world, Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers Galleries has actually auctioned off a few high-profile Jefferson nickels over the years, are what I consider to be the top 3 favorite auction houses. They do all the advertising for you. Everything is absorbed in the overall cost of the fees. So once you sell the coin, they take the fees right off the top. And then that's how they get paid. And then you get a check for the balance. So it works out really easily. And, if you have these top graded coins that registry set participants will want, they will take those into consignment. And that's either a high graded example, again, without full steps, or simply any example that grades mint state and with full steps. You're going to find that not even the top graded examples with full steps, sells for the most amount of money. There might be one that's a grade point lower that still sells for, say, $10,000 and not the $30,000 that you're seeing. But 1961, first one on the list, again, in no particular order here. So the next 2 coins are 1965 and 1966. But let's go ahead and recognize for a moment that there are both business strike and special mint set strikes. If you're not familiar with the overall appearance of both coins, they could look really similar to each other. In 1965, 66, and 67, the U.S. Mint did not produce proof sets, which are generally high gloss. They kind of have that chrome appearance to it. They look very mirrored. It's easy to differentiate a proof coin to a business strike. Business strikes are what are coins that the mint produces specifically for circulation. So they're going to have just a regular satiny looking appearance. But when you look at these 2 coins here, the coin on the right is your special mint set. Given these type of lighting, there is a little bit of difference between one and the other. The special mint set coins that the U.S. Mint produced during this 3-year stretch are all actually in pretty decent quality, but they lacked one thing, and that's going to be the cameo contrast that would normally set those coins aside, similar to proof coins. They just didn't exist in grand enough numbers to really set them differently from the business strikes. So knowing the difference between a business strike and an SMS coin is going to be paramount in order to be successful. Because if you go to a coin shop and you're looking to cherry pick some of these business strike coins thinking you're getting that, they will sell special mint set coins separately. They'll crack out the actual holders. They'll go ahead and encapsulate each coin individually and then sell them for like $5, but to a person that's looking, to get into this to try and make big money, all right, sometimes they can't differentiate the 2 apart. Here's a little bit of an image of both coins' reverses. The business strike is on the left. Note the much weaker strike. You're going to see that you have a lot more flow lines on there. The coin on the right is your special mint set. Looks and appears to have a little bit of a frost on all of the design devices of the coin. Certainly has a different look. It's a lot more sharper struck. The dies were prepared specially for SMS coins, and they have a much lower mintage figure, but the prices don't indicate that because they are very affordable to own. So make sure you're aware of this difference, because a long time ago, back in the early 2000s, I made the mistake of sending off a couple SMS coins thinking they would grade out mint state, and they didn't. They were SP coins. So that's where we come here to the 1965 business strike. Another very hot coin, very scarce with full steps. So that's going to be the hot button with this one. Mintage-wise, 136,131,380 pieces were produced in 1965. There are no known Denver or San Francisco strikes of this date. It was either Philadelphia or bust on this one. So value-wise, Mid-State 66 full steps, only one known. PCGS has a price guide value of a staggering sum, $40,000 on this coin. There haven't been too many. There's been one sold on, I believe, Stack's Bowers Galleries, and the same coin sold twice a few years apart from each other. So it was probably a registry set that ended up getting split up, and then the coin was picked back up by another registry set owner, and it sold for a lot of money. That sale, I believe, was in 2021, and it's been the only public sale known of a 1965 full steps nickel since. And of course, we got the 1966 on here as well. This particular coin is actually a full steps coin. This was actually the reverse that I used to show the close-up of the steps earlier in the video. But this one right here, keep in mind, there are special mint set coins that exist for this date and for 67. But for business strikes, only 156,208,283 pieces were produced for 1966. Again, no Denver, no San Francisco here. PCGS has a couple different price guide values for this coin. With full steps, in a 65, it's $10,000. In the 65 plus, it's $20,000. And then finally, in the 66 full steps, we have a price guide value of $40,000. Again, huge, life-changing money. You could quit your job if you wanted to and, do something else completely. You'll have a lot of money to live off of by finding one of these. All right, and the final two coins on the list both have mint marks. 1968D is a very, very scarce coin, but not as scarce compared to the San Francisco minted counterparts of the same date for this one and our next coin. So for 68D, the mintage is 91,227,880 known or produced of this coin. And as you would expect, quality is really terrible on both of these dates. This one right here, only one known, and it's 65 full steps. Sold values are non-existent because the coin never made it to a public sale, but PCGS has a price guide value of $20,000 on this coin. I would have only imagined that if a mint state 66 of the same coin exists, I would say that that's probably going to be closer to a $50,000 bill by the time it's all said and done. So obviously, quality is going to be paramount here, finding something that you could really make a ton of money on. And then the final coin I wanted to highlight, because there is actual data suggesting that there is an example of this coin graded with full steps, is going to be 69D. This is an incredible coin, much like the 68D that you saw previous. 69 was a horrible date for quality, and the dies were run into the ground, and it shows. This one has a mintage, the highest by far out of the five that we talked about, at 202,807,500. Don't let that number fool you. I will guarantee you 99.9999% of the entire run looks exactly like the coin that you see here. A lot of planchet nicks, weakness in the strike all around. The luster was abysmal. It's quite appalling looking at the coin. The luster is really bad for being a mint state coin. Price guide values. Ooh, man, this one's pricey. Mint state 65 full steps. There was actually a pop 1 of that particular grade in this coin. PCGS has a price guide value of $36,000, which means that one grade point higher in the 66, if we're using general math compared to the previous coins, that would put that example of being worth around $72,000. It's going to be like a 2x multiplier going from 65 to 66 with some of these nickels. So another one to keep an eye out for. Pretty tremendous coin. So final thoughts going into the hunt. Okay, first of all, you really got to know where to find these, all right? It's not likely that you could just go to the bank, pick up some rolls, and hit pay dirt. Although it's possible, because people throw in, they'll go and deposit old collections that they just don't care about, and they're just looking to deposit the money. I see it all the time. It's a possibility. But obviously, identifying and trying to find untouched sealed rolls and bags is going to be the hot ticket in order to find some of these coins. I never said the hunt was going to be easy. All right, you could look everywhere for these things, but again, identifying full steps is half the battle. Okay, finding the coins is one. Finding full steps is going to be a whole other complete story. But when you go into this, understand that it's going to take time. All right, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, of course. I never promised that to be. But, you know, if you find one, and you do it right, you actually have a magnifier, you're holding the coin correctly, you're looking at it, you're not doing anything crazy like rubbing a cloth on it or anything like that. You know, and then sending it off to grading company. That's where it's going to be worth the most amount of money, not raw. You have to grade the coin. You have to invest the money into the grading. So, you know, again, not something easy that a lot of people can just do on a whim. It's going to take a little bit of basic understanding of numismatics, of grading coins, and, you know, knowing firsthand what graders are going to like. Okay, they expect perfection when it comes to 1960s nickels. And speaking of which, here's a few other dates that are quite tough and could be worth many more times the amount of money that I've talked about on some of these other coins. For example, 1962 P&D minted coins are scarce with full steps. All right, another coin to look out for. How about 1967? The last three of the Philadelphia minted only specific coins are very scarce. 67 is, I believe, the scarcest out of the three dates. Another one to look out for, just make sure you're not finding and sending off a special mint set coin. And then finally, we got to talk about those San Francisco minted 1968 and 69s. 69S could be by far the most rarest nickel of the 60s. That's a coin that has all sorts of potential of being a six-figure coin one day because there are none that exist. But when that first one comes up, you better believe that is going to be the single most important coin of the century if it's found. And no one's found one yet, all right? And it's been a staple in everyone's registry set. They're ready to open up their checkbook and write a really long number on there. So make sure you're paying attention to 69S as well. I wish you guys the best on all your hunts. This is going to be a fun one. Again, not many people have been going through these coins, only because it's kind of like left the overall scene as far as its popularity is concerned. People are still looking for these key dates, and you might be a key component to finding one for a registry set out there. That's going to go ahead and do it. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. This was a fun topic. Crazy, crazy coins. I've talked about this once before, but this is a little bit more of a comprehensive look on these nickels and how much of a challenge they can be to collect. So if you guys are going to hunt for these, best of luck. We'll love to hear some sort of success story of the grade that pops on any one of these. It's going to be exciting to hear about, but enjoy the hobby. Number one, that's important. If you enjoy it, things will go your way. If you don't enjoy it and you're just in it for the money, I don't know what to say. You're just not going to do it, I guess. But that's it. Have fun, and I will see you on the next coin video. All right, so long.